Hi there, Wayne Jennings here with another little action camera I'm going to review. This is the XTU Action Camera, and it's got a lot of very impressive features on it. It costs around $200 US, so it's not like really cheap, but it's about half the price of a comparable Sony or GoPro, and it has a lot of the same features as those more expensive cameras. For instance, it will shoot, all the video formats from 720, 1080, 2.7, and 4K, and it'll do that at 60 frames per second. It'll shoot time lapse and slow motion. It has a slow shutter speed for nighttime exposures, but it has some other really neat features. For instance, it has a view screen on the front and the back, so that's great if you want to get a selfie or set up a shot where you want to frame something behind you. You'll be able to see on this front view screen exactly what the camera sees. The other really neat thing is this camera itself is waterproof. Now, it comes with a housing if you want to take it scuba diving, but for snorkeling or going to the beach or going out in your canoe or kayak, it's waterproof just as it is. And the other very impressive feature with this little camera, it will allow you to plug in an external microphone. It even comes with a small external microphone, but you can plug in one with a longer cord and get really good sound. So to me, those are a lot of really professional kind of features that I look forward to in a camera. So can't wait to get out and check this one out. The XTU X1 is a dual-screen, waterproof, multi-format action camera capable of recording video in resolutions of 720, 960, 1080, 1440, 2.7K, and 4K video. It will capture still images in sizes ranging from 3 to 20 megapixels. A Sony IMX377 image sensor is mounted behind the ultra-wide-angle lens, which covers a field of view of 166 degrees. The camera weighs in at 135 grams. That's about 4.7 ounces, and it retails for around $200 US. The camera is packaged in this attractive display box with the large 4K 60 frame per second specification prominently visible on the front. Packed inside this tiny box, you'll find all these standard accessories included with this camera kit. Of course, you get the camera itself with this included lens cap. Now, this camera, as you see it here, is waterproof down to a depth of 5 meters. That's about 16 feet. Now, if you want to go deeper, just put the camera inside this included waterproof housing, which will allow you to go down to a depth of 40 meters. That's 131 feet. This camera comes with this unique sponge cover. Now, it's designed to fit around the whole camera, and it basically helps prevent wind noise when recording audio. But it also comes with this external plug-in USB-powered microphone. There is a generous selection of mounting hardware, and there are 4 quick-release plates with extra adhesive tape. The camera ships with one rechargeable lithium-ion battery rated at 1,350 milliamp hours, along with a USB cable for charging. There's a nice assortment of straps, Velcro strips, zip ties, and a metal lanyard. And you get this handy 2-button remote control that'll let you shoot video or photos from a distance. And there is a very detailed full-color instruction manual, and they even include a lens cleaning cloth. In my opinion, the XTU Action Camera looks very professional in this matte black finish. It's got a nice kind of rubberized coating around the outside, which allows you to get a good grip on it. And it doesn't feel light or plasticky. It seems to be well built, feels very durable in the hands. This camera comes with this little rubberized lens cap, which is a great way to protect the camera when you're not shooting with it. Let's check it out here. On the bottom, we have a 1/4-inch tripod socket, always a nice feature to see. And beside that is the battery compartment door. Now, to open that, you have to kind of push this button and give it a good slide. It's a little stiff, but there's a purpose for that. You see inside here is your battery and your micro SD card, but there's this great big gasket. That rubberized gasket keeps the water out and gives this camera its water protection, which means you can take it down to a depth of 5 meters without the housing. Now on the far end here, there's another little door, and behind there is a USB port and an HDMI port. Above that is a tiny little waterproof speaker. On the far side, we have our main power switch. And on the top of the camera, there's a couple buttons here. There's a mode select button and your main shutter release. Between them is a little tiny microphone. Now let's just turn the power on here, and we'll check out the screen. It's a 2-inch diagonal touch screen on the back here. And it's pretty easy to use, and there's a lot of settings you can change on this. If we just swipe up from the bottom, you can see it has video or photo, so you can go in and make those changes. But there's also like this sub-menu. So in the video mode here, you can do time-lapse or slow motion, or set it for car looping. So it's pretty extensive that way. Let's just go back here. If you swipe out from the side, there's a further menu where you can go in and make all the specific changes. Now in this case, in video, we can go in and change the resolution, 720, 1080, 2.7K, up to 4K. And it's just a simple matter of selecting the one you want. It appears on the side. You can even go in and change the frame rate there by pushing that. There you go. And select the frame rate you want. But there's other things you can set, like the video encoder you want to use, whether you want the lens distortion turned on. There's a gyroscope. You can go in and change like the video metering mode, exposure compensation, change the ISO, the white balance. You can even go in and change the shutter speed, which is very unusual on these little automatic cameras. They're usually completely automatic, but this one you can actually go in and make the changes. So that is a really nice feature to see. Now the thing that sets this camera apart from some of the others out there is the fact that it has a screen on the back, but it also has a screen on the front. So to activate that, you just push and hold the mode button for a moment, and then there you go. It all of a sudden pops to the front. So what the lens sees, you see in this little screen. So it's great for doing selfies, or if you're setting up a video vlog and you want to frame something over your shoulder, you can see exactly where it's going to be. So this is a really nice feature to see on a little action camera like this. One of the things I'm really impressed with the XTU Action Camera is the quality of the audio. Now the camera itself has a little tiny microphone on the top here between these two buttons. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start this camera recording. I'm just going to hold it at arm's length, and then we'll switch to this camera, and you can hear the sound. I'm at arm's length, and I'm just talking in a normal voice. Granted, it's a nice quiet day, but as you can hear, the built-in microphone does a pretty good job. So that's nice. You know, on the go, you get good sound. The other really impressive thing with this camera is it comes with an external microphone. Now, it's just a little itty-bitty thing, as you can see, but it plugs into the USB port on the side of the camera. So we'll just do that here. We'll just plug it in like so. Got to get it in there right. There, so you can see, plugs in like that, and it's stiff, so wherever you point it, it will kind of stay in that position. So basically, if I'm getting a shot of myself, I can point it towards me. We'll just turn that on. So now I'm recording my audio with this little plug-in microphone. And again, I'm at arm's length, just talking in a normal tone. The other cool thing is, because it's flexible, I can bend it backwards. So if I'm, hiking down a trail and I want to narrate as I go, I can have that microphone pointing back at me, and it'll pick up the sound as I'm talking. So that is a real cool feature. And of course, it's got this little foam windsock that helps, keep wind noise down. Now, when it comes to wind, this camera, they also include this other cool thing. Let me just unplug this. And we'll just pull this out. So it comes with this foam. It's actually like a wind protector. I mean, it goes over the whole camera, which is kind of overkill. I won't do it right now because it's on this little tripod, but it basically pulls over the camera and then puts a piece of foam over that microphone. So that will cut down wind noise when you're out and about also. Now, finally, the other cool thing, I wish it came with a longer plug-in microphone, but I happen to have one here, a USB microphone. This is from another camera. It's actually from a Victure. I believe it's the AC920 model, which has a plug-in microphone. And I wasn't sure if this would work, but actually it does work. So I'm just going to plug it in again here. Let's see. Okay, so now the microphone, the extended microphone, is plugged into this camera. And the big advantage here is I have more range. I can be further away from the camera, up to 2 meters, and no matter where the camera points, in fact, even if I turn my back to the camera, as long as I have this microphone hooked onto me, it's going to pick up my sound because it's right on me and not the sound on the camera itself. So I highly recommend, if you can find one of these, if you got one from another camera, or if you can find one online somewhere, go ahead and get one, because this will greatly improve the quality of audio that you get with this action camera. Although this is an automatic camera, there are a lot of settings you can adjust. The ISO can be left on auto or set to 100, 200, 400, 800, 1600, 3200, or as high as 6400 ISO. White balance can be left on auto or set to daylight, cloudy, tungsten, or 2 levels of fluorescent. You can choose between 2 video encoders, H.264 or H.265. There are 3 metering choices: center, average, and spot. And there is an exposure compensation setting. This allows you to increase or decrease exposure by up to 2 stops in half-stop increments. I was really impressed with all the settings found on this little camera. I mean, for an automatic camera, you can really go in and change a lot of things and add a lot of things that you don't normally find in this price range. For instance, on the back, you can turn on a grid, which is great. It just helps you line up the horizon or for composing your shots. It's a really nice feature to have. There's an inversion feature, so if the camera's upside down, of course, the image flips around, so you don't have to do that in post-production. The other cool thing is this camera has voice control. So I can have it, say, mounted in the front of my canoe, and I can just say, record video, and it'll start recording. I don't even need the remote. That's a really, really nice feature. The other thing is you can power this with a USB cable. So if you're doing a long time lapse, you don't want the battery to go dead, you can plug in a USB to, say, a power bank. You can also use this as a webcam without any graphics showing up on the image. And you can use it as a dash cam. It'll do loop recording if it's mounted in your car. The other really nice thing about this, all the settings you can do, like the basic ones, like white balance, exposure, ISO, you can set them independently for photo and for video. A lot of these lower priced cameras, I mean, you set it once and that's the same for photo and video. Not with this, they are completely separate. So at this price range, I'm really impressed with all the settings you can make in this little camera. When shooting video, there is a stepped zoom function. This allows you to change the focal length in small increments up to 10 times. And the thing I really like about this feature is you can actually make these changes while you're recording. As with most extreme wide-angle lenses, this one causes some distortion. You'll notice the horizon behind me, it's kind of curved down at the sides. Well, there's a feature in this camera, LDC, Lens Distortion Correction. That's turned off right now, but when you turn it on, it should straighten out that horizon and give it a more normal appearance. So we'll go turn it on and then you can see the difference. All right, so I've gone and I've turned that LDC function on, and as you can see from the horizon behind me, it's a lot more level than in the previous shot. The XTU Action Camera produces very nice time-lapse sequences at all resolutions, allowing you to record a single frame of video every half, 1, 2, 5, 10, 30, or 60 seconds. Still photos can be captured in sizes of 3, 5, 8, 12, 16, or 20 megapixels. There is also a burst photo mode, a self-timer mode, and this camera has a slow shutter setting for nighttime photography. Now let's check out some slow motion video. This first scene is shot in 720 at 120 frames per second. Here's the same scene, but now we're shooting in 1080 at 120 frames per second. And if you really want to slow things down, you can shoot in 720 at a very impressive 240 frames per second. This camera has an electronic image stabilizer. Now that's turned off right now. I'm just walking along this uneven path here, holding the camera at arm's length. But I'll go back, I'll turn the image stabilizer on, and then we can compare the two shots. Okay, so I've retraced my steps, and now the electronic image stabilizing system is on. So you can see it definitely smooths the shot out a bit, which makes it a lot better for this kind of handheld shot where you're walking over rough terrain. Now, this camera has another setting. It's called Super Image Stabilizer, and that's turned on now. I'm walking over the same terrain. Personally, I don't see a huge difference, But of the two settings, this one is supposed to give you the smoothest effect. It's easy to operate this camera from a distance using the included remote control. Now this is really simple. There are just two buttons on here. The top one, when you push it, activates video recording. So you hit that once, that little red LED lights up, and the camera begins recording video until you hit it again. The bottom one is for still photos. Push the button, the red LED lights up, and the camera snaps a still photo. However, for more precise control, you'll want to use your smartphone and the Wi-Fi app to connect to your camera. As you see on here, there's an image that the camera sees. If I flip it this way, it's enlarged, so you can get a great view of what the camera sees. Now this will do practically everything the camera will do. If you hit the little red button down here, the camera will start recording video until you hit that button again. Of course, you can take still pictures as well. There's quite an extensive menu up here. If you hit that, it goes in and you can change all kinds of things. Like you can go in and change the resolution. You can go in and say change your exposure up and down here. You can turn on the gyroscope or turn it off. Turn the audio on or off. There's all kinds of settings you can do with the remote. It's really a nice way to operate the camera at a distance, and you can see exactly what the camera's going to see. Well, to sum up, I am really impressed with the XTU Action Camera. The quality of the video is amazing at all frame rates, even when you bump it up to 60 frames per second. A lot of these, lower priced action cameras, things start getting a little soft at 60 frames, but not in this one. Everything looked really good, really sharp. It does really nice time lapse, does pretty good slow motion. I like the fact that it has 2 levels of image stabilization to choose from. And of course, it's waterproof. It's got this dual screen thing. That is great. You can frame up your shot. It's really nice. What really impressed me though was the audio quality. The camera has a built-in microphone, which produces very good sound. But the fact that you can plug in an external microphone, that is a game changer, because if you want good video, you really need good audio to go along with it, and this camera allows you to do that. And I would go out on a limb and say, if you're considering a GoPro or a Sony or one of those higher end cameras, you might seriously want to consider this camera. It's a lot less money and does an amazing job. So I would highly recommend the XTU Action Camera. It is a great camera.